We're going to take you on a journey to a very special part of Wiltshire. We're following the Great West Way from the village of Avebury through the market town of Calne and on to Bowood House along the A4. On this route there are many sights and treasures, like Avebury's ancient stones, mysterious and majestic. Dating from Neolithic times, they form the largest stone circle in the world. A perfect place to wander and relax. Then there's neighbouring Silbury Hill, the largest man-made mound in Europe. It was completed around 2400 BC and is about the same size as the pyramids in Egypt, but its purpose is a mystery. The road to Calne is full of things to see and places to visit. There's always a chance of catching the glorious sight of thoroughbred racehorses exercising across the Wiltshire Downs. And there's the Wiltshire Microlight Centre near Yatesbury, offering the opportunity to get a bird's eye view of the wonderful countryside below, including the Cheryl White horse carved into the hillside, and nearby the Lansdowne Monument that stands more than 120 feet high.
The Cheryl White horse was put there in 1780, and it's an iconic view as you go along the A4 or the old drover's route. It will have been seen for many, many centuries. It's in a beautiful area, scenic area, right alongside the Lansdowne Monument. The Lansdowne Monument is coming up to 170 years old now, and again, an iconic view. It's the heart of the Great West Way.
There are lots of fabulous places to visit and stay, like this one.
Buttle Farm's just 2 miles off the A4, so people travelling along that route, and that's what the Great West Way encourages people to do, is to travel a little more slowly, investigate a little bit more, be a little bit more curious about what you're going to do. So don't just go for the hot spots. Find those things that other people maybe aren't going to see. And what we want to do is make it easier for them to find the right things that suit their interests, or maybe something that's completely off the beaten track for them, but it's something they'd like to do. So Buttle Farm's really one of those. We've got a fabulous pub in the village, the White Horse, award-winning food. It's a must-see for everybody who's a foreign tourist in particular, who's coming, who wants that quintessential English village. And Compton Bassett itself has got a fabulous variety of architectural styles. So if you walk through the village, if you're staying with us on the farm and you walk for 10 minutes up to the pub, you're going to walk past all sorts of different types of architecture, see some very traditional village gardens. It's just a really lovely thing to do on a lazy lunchtime.
There are museums too. The Remy Museum tells the story of the Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers founded during the Second World War. Its 7 galleries contain more than 100,000 items, from badges and weapons to military vehicles, all lovingly restored and presented. And there's the charmingly English Atwell Wilson Motor Museum on the outskirts of Calne.
The Atwell Wilson Motor Museum was formed back in '81 by Richard and Hazel Atwell, who had a great love of motor cars.
We have upwards of 80 cars and 20 or so motorbikes, and so well over 100 exhibits.
I think what makes this museum very special is the fact that it's small, compact, quaint and very friendly. The cars range from the 24 through to the 80s. We have two model collections, which is quite unique, and also bicycles and other memorabilia.
We have a wonderful selection of motoring nostalgia, ranging from the 1920s, and in particular there we are very lucky to recently had donated to us a Trojan, which is the last one left of its mark, and it was a daily driver from 1929 right up to this year. We have a wonderful big Buick from the 1930s that was owned by Mr. Tate of Tate and Lyle. Just about every vehicle we have actually has an interesting story to tell behind it.
We have a collection of minis, but one of them is a very special one. It's a prototype one, and it belonged to Alekis Agonis.
Tourists come for lots of different reasons, but mostly it's nostalgia through heritage and history are the things that people are looking for to revel in when they come to Britain in the first place. The Great West Way is very important to the business. It's an initiative that attracts people out of London along to the west of England.
And then there's Calne itself, a market town rich in history and interest. At its heart for generations was the Harris factory, producing bacon and sausages by the ton. Until its closure in 1984, it's said that 1 in 5 people in Calne worked there.
Calne is a small market town, which is very interesting in itself, with lots of interesting Georgian architecture and lots of histories of different personages that have lived in the town.
It is like lots of other towns in this country. People tend to drive through, but once you stop and look around, there's much to see in Calne. We have the almshouses and we have a heritage quarter that shows the history of Calne. We have a heritage centre where people can go and look at what's happened in Calne in the past. And we have some very iconic buildings.
Yeah, Calne is known as the gateway to the Downlands, and if we can attract visitors to stay here, to explore the heritage quarter with its interesting buildings and its historic evidence of the people that lived here, such as Priestley, Ingenhouse, and of course the John Pym, the parliamentary MP for Calne.
Oh, we have a whole list of famous people who've lived in Calne. Joseph Priestley was the librarian at Bowood House, and while he was there, he discovered oxygen. Shortly after that, Jan Ingenhouse came to Bowood and repeated Priestley's experiments, and doing that, he discovered photosynthesis. David Hemmings lived here, yes, of course, and brought some of his colleagues here. I think Richard Harris visited, Oliver Reed visited, so we've had many of the great and good here in Calne.
There is Samuel Taylor Coleridge, the poet, who with Wordsworth was responsible for starting off a whole poetic movement with the Romantics. He was in Calne for 18 months, where he actually wrote one of his important non-fiction works, his Literaria Biographia. He also, by tale, emptied most of the chemist shops of Laudanum because he was an opium addict at the time, had to have some sent in from Devizes. There are all sorts of interesting stories related to Coleridge. Walter, good old George, his family actually came from Bremhill, and his father had a chemist shop in the High Street, and Walter was always interested in running. And although he left Calne in his teens to be apprenticed to another chemist, he actually held the world mile record for 29 years, which is a remarkably long time. He became really athletics' first superstar. Well, the Heritage Quarter is very central. It includes the Green, which was the height of the woolen cloth industry on which Calne's economy was based, right from the Middle Ages to the middle of the 19th century.
You can follow the blue plaque trail around Calne, and that really highlights some of the really important things that we actually did in Calne to shape the town and kind of Wiltshire as it is today. Recently, we've been trying to really pull some of the heritage forward that's happened throughout history in the town, especially focusing on Harris's factory and the weaver's woolen mill up on the Green, and really highlight the heritage that Calne has to offer.
The Harris factory had a big impact on Calne, because after the demise of the woolen cloth trade, which was Calne's chief economic support over the years, Harris has filled that gap and employed an awful lot of people locally. And I mean, this is for over a period of just over 200 years. So lots of families right down the years continued to work in Harris's. So you get generations of people who work in there.
The business started in 1770, and over the next 200 years, the name Harris became synonymous with the town. Whilst bacon was its most famous product, were the other food products over time. At its peak, it employed 1,700 people, and from a weekly throughput of 5,000 pigs, made 100 tonnes of pies, 150 tonnes of sausages, 50 tonnes of cooked meats, and 70 tonnes of canned goods, all distributed nationally and abroad.
Calne is a very interesting town. There was really only one big employer, that was Harris's. And as a consequence, I think Calne had a very long period after it was closed of sort of getting back on its feet. And it's wonderful to see a sort of resurrection of a town.
Well, over the last 50 years, Calne has changed largely in growth. It's grown tremendously. It looks very different because Harris's factory has gone, which dominated the sort of centre of the town physically. And that the centre of the town has had a facelift with the new buildings, the new library.
When I came here initially, there was a parade of shops down through the middle of the town. We didn't have our new library building, the centre hadn't been redeveloped, and of course, like so many new towns, we've got so much more housing nowadays. But that's brought fresh people into the town and fresh ideas.
We've got lots of tourist attractions for people to see, from new to old, the Heritage Quarter. We also have a fantastic town centre. We've got the monument, which people can visit. We've got beautiful churches, one of which is the oldest building in town. So there's lots for people to actually stop here and see.
Calne has a number of interesting independent shops, from florists to gift shops. Simply Flowers in Church Street is a popular destination, and the gift box in the Strand is stocked from floor to ceiling, ideal for anyone searching for a memento to take home. And then there's the New Wine, with more than 100 varieties of gin on its shelves, including Pig in Gin. Nearby is Bazaar, with gifts to suit every taste, no matter where in the world you come from.
So we see tourists from all around the world at the moment. So I get to see, on a weekly basis, people from Australia, people from America, people from Europe.
We get a lot of interested parties come in over to the information centre that aren't just from Wiltshire or Calne. They come from all over the world.
It's a great place to actually situate yourself for a holiday. So you could situate yourself here for the whole week and use it as a base. You can get out to Bath very quickly. You can get out to Chippenham and have a look. You've got a cycle path if you want to do that. There's lots of B&Bs where you can stay reasonably priced, a hotel, camping. Come down to Calne for one of the fantastic events which goes on for one of the weekends, but then stay and travel around from here, but use Calne as your base.
And there are some great places to stay, like the flagship Lansdowne Strand Hotel in the heart of the town. Built in the 1500s, it's been on the drovers route running through Calne for hundreds of years. Once, stagecoaches pulled in here. Today, it offers a special blend of historic and modern. On the outskirts, there's luxury self-catering at Buttle Farm and at nearby Blacklands Mill, where bookings have to be made in advance, but it's well worth it. Both have been designed to help visitors relax and feel comfortable. And there's the stylish and modern Bowood Hotel on the Bowood estate, alongside its own PGA golf course, rated as one of the finest in the southwest. In the centre of Calne, there's Heritage Bed and Breakfast, where mouth-watering home-cooked food is guaranteed.
The breakfast we produce at Heritage Bed and Breakfast is a first-class breakfast. Not only talking just about the one product of the English breakfast, but if we encompass everything we buy, it's locally sourced.
Ellie is passionate about her cooking. She cooks sourdough bread every day for our guests. She makes all the preserves that are served to the guests.
We make sure that the quality is always there on the plate, the taste is right, the flavours are right, and it's produced straight away on the plate. Nothing's cooked, pre-cooked before you come down for breakfast in the morning. I've got it all ready, room temperature, and straight away it'll go on the stove.
I have a vision to actually promote Calne to every aspect of the world. The last 12 months, anywhere I've visited, I've mentioned Calne to them. We actually want to get more people to visit Calne, to see Calne, and actually to go away and talk about Calne.
There are lots of places to stay when you approach Calne. We have a very interesting site at Highway Hill where you can stay in a yurt or a shepherd's hut.
There are loads of great places around the area to eat.
At Divine on the Green, we aim to source a lot of our products locally. So our tea we get from Bath, our coffee is roasted locally, our honey is from nearby, and all our cakes are homemade here. Our business is right in the heart of the Heritage Quarter of Calne, and it has some lovely historical elements and old buildings, and it's a wonderful part of Wiltshire that people might not necessarily know is here as well.
You've got several daytime cafes. You've also got bistros which you can visit during the day, from named chains to independents. So after that sort of culinary experience, you can then move on to your evenings. You've got an Italian, you've got an award-winning Indian restaurant, you've got a Nepalese restaurant, you've got the hotels which have got restaurants. And then after that, you then move on to where you can stay. So you've got bed and breakfast as far as Beckhampton to Bowood Hotel, but also in the centre of town, you've got the Lansdowne Strand, you've got the Heritage Bed and Breakfast. So to stay locally means that actually you don't need to drive, you can walk to all of these establishments and be able to have a good stay in Calne without driving, and also being able to walk back to your hotel.
Within a small radius, there are some really great pubs. From the George Inn in Sandy Lane to the Ivy at Headington, they offer the classic English country pub experience. There's the Dumb Post in Bremel, believed to have got its name from the custom of men pinning letters to a post outside the pub in the days before the Royal Mail. In Beckhampton, there's the popular Wagon and Horses, dating from 1669 and with a traditional thatched roof. And in Avebury, there's the haunted Red Lion, first licensed in 1802 and just a few short steps from the famous Stones. The White Horse at Compton Basset is situated in a tranquil location and has a cosy bar offering a variety of beers, ciders and excellent wines. And there are some fantastic restaurants. On the A4 between Calne and Derry Hill, there's the Black Dog, now home to a Gurkha restaurant serving delicious Nepalese dishes. Their motto is, "Come as our guest, leave as our friend." There's also the Antica Roma restaurant in Calne. Here, popular and classic Italian meals are served every lunchtime and evening. It's somewhere customers praise for its great food and relaxed atmosphere. There's good food too at the Grade 2 listed Lansdowne Strand Hotel in the middle of the town. Its lounge and a la carte menus have something to attract every taste and diet. And for vegan or vegetarian food, the Sampaguita Cafe is a must. Tucked enticingly away in a small alley near St Mary's Church, it has a tempting menu of British and Asian food. In Beach Terrace is Faye's Bistro, where the food is fresh, delicious, and the welcome is friendly. And if you like Indian curry, the Spice of Bengal has gained an excellent reputation for authentic Indian cuisine using only fresh ingredients. Just a short walk from Calne town centre is Castle Fields, where the Wiltshire and Berkshire Canal passes through. The route of the former Great Western Railway can also be seen here. It's now a cycle path enjoyed by people of all ages.
So the railway in Calne was a big part of Calne's history, and currently you can cycle through that track. You can visit the old railway station. You can see lots more at the Heritage Centre, where they have a lot of the history from Calne's railway.
And then, of course, there is the famous Bowood House and Gardens, home to the Marquess and Marchioness of Lansdowne.
We opened the pub in 1975, and what became pretty apparent is that there had to be more to Bowood than just actually the house. What really attracts people to Bowood is the space, the beauty, and of course, something for all ages. My ancestors, plural, were sort of leading political figures. You know, there was wealth and there were politics, and they went hand in hand. Obviously, there was a stream of really interesting people that came and stayed actually in the house because they came to see my ancestors. And one of them, Joseph Priestley, was independent-minded. So he was a tutor. He was experimenting with his physics. And on the 1st of August 1774, he discovered oxygen gas. He separated oxygen gas, which is a pretty remarkable thing to do, actually, you know, in the house down here. The rhododendron garden was started in 1854, so I mean, basically it was established then because it surrounded the mausoleum, which is one of the most beautiful Adam buildings that he ever created. And it's on a ridge, a seam of this extraordinary soil. Everything that the plants that we grow up there just love. And so it's rewarding up there because you can plant things and they just do well. And it's given me, and I hope lots of others, particularly many local people who know it well, huge amount of pleasure. So the hotel was a really important part of actually, you know, what we did. And the strategy was, years ago, you know, we start with the golf course. Conference Centre was 98, I think. Golf opened in 92. And then the big leap of faith, obviously, was the hotel. Not only leap of faith, but actually leap of faith for the bank manager, I think, probably as well.
All this in 11 miles of breathtaking Wiltshire countryside on the Great West Way. It's a lovely, welcoming part of the world. Come and see it for yourself.